Okay, so
Perfect.
welcome everyone to the third meeting of Big West Rotaract Club. So every 2 weeks, we hear from speakers who tell us about their inspirational stories, expertise in their field, or how they're finding innovative solutions to our world's most pressing challenges. So my name is Tessa Young, and I'm the Vice President of Public Relations for this club. So this week, we have Yanise Ho, who will talk to us about how one girl can. So a little about our speaker. She is known as the Bladress. Yanise completed a 7-month, 3,850-mile solo rollerblading odyssey across the U.S. in November 2018 without any money, no safety net, and with tons of faith in humanity. So she wanted to share her message: when we act in faith, with faith in humanity, a world brimming with love and care, trust becomes a reality. So strangers all over the country welcomed her into their homes with kindness and generosity. She believed when we opened our hearts, the world opens just as widely, and we are all deeply connected to each other. Regardless of our individual backgrounds, love is that connection through and we can achieve our best potential. With the help of One Girl Can, she established the Bladress Scholarship and raised over $36,000, enough to fund 4 years of secondary school for 16 Kenyan and Ugandan girls. So without further ado, here's our speaker.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Tessa, for the intro. It's so as you mentioned, the Blazers Project, One Girl Can, and so I was raising funds for One Girl Can because I wanted everybody. I wanted it as a female empowerment project to show that everybody can do anything. But it starts with education, and so anybody can be anything. Especially with like Kenyan and Ugandan girls, they didn't have the chance. So education would give them a chance to really just explore who they are and what they want to do in life and be who they want to be. Especially, I think that just being a small Asian woman traveling solo is itself an example to show that, well, you really can do anything. And, with faith, it can overcome anything, like overcome fear, stereotype, and judgment. A lot of judgments because of, my background, but really just with faith, just believing that you can do anything. It's so powerful, and it really, it's like a magical power. And I almost felt like I controlled the situation, even though I was the one in the vulnerable position where I had no money. I never knew where I would be going every day, but I had so much faith. I just knew it would happen, and it always worked out. And I think no matter what background we are, we all share one thing in common. It's just that believing in yourself, just faith. It's the key to everything. It's the first step. And everybody thought that the most difficult part of the journey might be the journey itself, in the rollerblading part, finding host. And I can tell you that is actually the easiest part, to find people to host me, to offer me places to stay, food to eat, because people are so nice. People are innately kind. They want to help. They want to be part of something that they could feel good about, that they've been helpful to somebody else. And but we just have to believe that. We just have to see it that way. We just have to exude that positive energy so people could feel it, people can trust you. And that was the reason why I decided to do that, because all the media is showing us all the negative news, and I want to show that the world is not as dangerous as we think. Just take the step, just try it, do it, and see it for yourself. And the hardest part really isn't the journey itself. There are two hardest points in this journey. The first one is before it happened, and the second one is in the middle. And I think just like with everything else, the first step is always the hardest, because it was initially just an idea and nobody knew what it was. Nobody understood it at any level because it's just an idea in my own head. And everybody was asking questions like, so what are you doing right now at this very moment? How much are you earning right now? Why are you doing it? And it's so hard to explain because it hasn't happened yet. I just believe that it will work. But even if people aren't believing, you just have to do it. You just have to believe. You are the only person, your only best friend that believes it. And eventually it'll work. You just push through and it'll work. And I mean, after you take the first step, everything will seem so great for a while, just for a while. And no matter what you do, you'll always hit that point, that the critical point, that crisis. And that was when I reached New York, 3 months into the journey. And that was when I wanted to give up. And I want to be honest with you, there are so many things that was going through my mind. I wanted to make up excuses like, oh, I broke my leg. My doctor said I can't do it. It's going to injure my spine forever. You know, so many things. Every minute, that's what's going through my mind every single minute. Let's come up with a good excuse so I don't have to do 2, 3, 4 more months. I could stop right there with an eloquent excuse. But I didn't do it. It was hard to give up too, because I look back and I've come so far, 3 months, a couple of thousands of miles, and I couldn't let myself down at that point. So I was really depressed though at that point for 3 days, because I had to overcome the cultural difference between the South and the North. All of a sudden, people changed from being so friendly and everybody's family to being very indifferent and not wanting to talk to you. And I wasn't able to ask for anything during the journey. So I had to always wait for people, the right people to come to talk to me first. And that was my rule. I don't want to pressure anybody to do good because this should come from their heart. But you know, it's just that people are all kind. It's just that in the North, it might take a while just because of the culture itself. It's harder to break the ice. But once you've broken the ice, they are all equally nice. But it was just harder at that point. So my backpack was heavier. I had more stuff. I had a sleeping bag and a tent to prepare for the Midwest, where the land's more desolate. So heavier backpack, severe shoulder pain, blisters all over my feet, and just nobody cared in the North. So it was just the worst point in the journey for 3-4 days, and I cried every day. But I thought that, you know, all my life growing up, I always gave up halfway. When I reached that critical point, I just gave up. I didn't care. I would just give up and go back to square one because that was the comfort zone. So I never achieved anything. So I was telling myself the whole time, this is the chance, like you can't give up again. This is the one chance that you can't give up. And if you make it through, that would mean a lot, just because this is the first time in your life you're not giving up. And I didn't give up. I pushed through and I made it all the way to the end. I look back and it's the best decision in my whole life, just not giving up. And now I think that after this journey, I can really tell I've learned so much. But it's very subtle, but it affects my life so much in so many different ways. When I'm learning new things, I know that, you know, it's just the beginning. The beginning is always the hardest. And once you get through that, it will always be okay. Like, so for example, I tried surfing again after the journey when I've always had phobia of water. I was a horrible surfer. I tried once and it was horrible. I drowned a couple of times. Lifeguards had to come save me. And so I decided to give it a try again because I thought, well, you got through the first hurdle, you can do anything now. And it's so true. Like success is really just a formula. Once you get through it, the mental block, it's open. You will always feel like you can do anything. So now I really do feel like I can really do anything if I try hard, if I just don't give up and let myself fall and fail and get back up again and do it again. Um, and I was holding this surfboard. The waves, the water was so scary. I was scared, but I held on to the board and told myself that just show the ocean love. Just show it that you're not scared. Just don't show fear. Hold on to it. Don't give up. Just hold on and feel it, and you'll get through it. And the ocean will show you love back, and that's what happened. And I really felt it. It's just like the rollerblading journey, because I wasn't scared at all. There's really not a point I felt like, oh, I should be scared. um I My mind had no capacity um of doing that. It just to to um to think of like all the reasons or potential things that could happen. I can't process that way. I guess I'm naturally an optimist. And I think most people, the difference between people that have made it and people who just have the idea, it's really just because they could be the most depressed and unhappy person, but they always have the most optimistic view. the, when it comes to uncertainty, they would just take the chance and see it as an opportunity rather than a risk. And most people would come and tell me, what if this happened? What if you get kidnapped? What if? And I never once thought of any what ifs. Like, I didn't have any weapon. I don't know self-defense. I don't know, but I just look on the bright side. There's so many reasons to not do something, but really I just need one good reason to do something. um, and so, yeah, that kind of encapsulate the journey. And if you have any questions, I'm open to answering questions.
Anyone, remember to unmute yourself if you have a question, if anyone has any questions.
Yeah, I have a question. Hi. I was curious if you could kind of talk about, so me and Yanise, we met in LA when she was there.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of talked a little bit about how originally it kind of was going to be a documentary and you're going to have this crew. And then if you could just talk a little bit about how that transitioned into just a solo trip, just you and your phone with, no, yeah, like you had mentioned, like no real,
Yeah, thanks for
like
bringing
barriers.
that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I also said, the beginning is the hardest before I started, because I went through 2 years of um, just confusion, pure confusion. Had no idea what I was doing, but all I knew is I'm gonna do it. But for 2 whole years, when I first had the idea, I was gonna walk across America, and I didn't do any research. I just announced it to the world. This is what I'm gonna do. And I changed my mind to rollerblading. So I bought my first pair of rollerblades, had never rollerbladed in my life. But I knew one day I'm gonna rollerblade across the country. So I bought my first pair, flew to Canada, didn't know anybody in Canada, just started rollerblading, learning it on my own, and making friends, having people teach me. And 2 months after that, I joined an inline skate marathon. And 4 months after that, I did my first test run from skating from Savannah, Georgia to Miami, Florida. And it was about 20 days. Same idea, no money. It was a huge success. And I knew I could do a bigger journey. Um, but during the learning process, I got a bunch of scars all over my body, 10 stitches on my head. Doctor said don't skate for at least another week or two, but I got up again as soon as he stitched my head, and I started skating again right away. Um, and not only that, not only um, with the learning process that was difficult. Soon after, or actually during the first skating journey, it got complicated. I had more people involved with the project, like videographer, producer, investors. We had business plans. We were gonna film it into a documentary and submit it to Netflix. And we had all this grand, glamorous plans. We already had investors putting in $200,000 to make a documentary. And it was awesome. We could make it, like, we could generate income from it. I could be the boss. I could have a crew. it would be a professionally made documentary too, and everything just sounds so right, so fantastic, but it wasn't right. So I was procrastinating for 2 years, for about 10 months. I was just not doing it. But I had this idea in my head the whole time, but I just didn't know what was wrong. The whole time I just knew something wasn't right. Couldn't figure it out, but I was just waiting for the right time, and when an epiphany would tell me what's wrong. And one day I got that epiphany. It told me that, what was wrong was you never wanted to go with a crew. You wanted to do it solo, just you, no support system all along, and that's your core value. That's what you wanted to show the world, that one girl can do it with no crew, and nothing was fake. Because with the crew, the way people reacted would have been different, and I didn't want that. I wanted everything to be genuine, and this is my story. I wanted to tell the story myself. So I dismissed everybody, forget about $200,000, could care less, because that's not what matters. What mattered to me was being able to do it by myself and proving to people that I did it all solo. And every day I got hosted, not because people wanted to be on TV, but because they wanted to be kind, because they are kind. And so that was the hardest part, to really just figure it out what your own core value is, what you really wanted to do, and to say no to what looks amazing, what looks like a path to success, but maybe that's not, because it really depends on what you define success at. I really don't see that you know being on TV means success to me if I'm telling a story that's not 100% genuine. So yeah, so during that process, it was difficult because people questioned me, and also with my cultural background, people value so much about money and career path. Just doing regular 9 to 5 jobs, make good money, and that's what success means to them. And I disagreed, so I had to really stand up and stand for what I believe, and just tell the world, no, this is not what I wanted. I'm gonna do what I want to do and to be happy. And so I dismissed everybody and I just took off.
Great, thank you.
I had a question. So you mentioned at one point that you had like a sleeping bag and everything, but how did you find out where you were going to stay every night? Like, did you have like when you set out in the morning, you knew where you were going, or did you just kind of go?
I literally just went. I didn't plan anything. Um, I never knew where I was going. So it's a combination of both the new age way of social media. With social media, people would reach out to me sometimes. They're like, hey, you're in my town, come stay with me. Or just randomly. Most of the time, 80% of the time, I just randomly met people on the street, and in the least expected way, like in the parking lot or on the side of the road, they pull over and ask if I needed anything, and that's when the conversation began. And they would usually within a minute they would offer, hey, do you need anything, you can come stay at our house. And yeah, a lot of times within 15 seconds people would be like, here, come stay. And instantly we would become family. And some people, they would let me know where they hide their money. They would hide their money in front of me, just like we've known each other for at least 20 years. But we actually just met. But it's just because of the trust that we had. We built right away the first minute that we met each other, that they welcomed me into the house, that I trusted them enough to. It goes both ways. So that trust is so valuable that I can't even explain it. It's just that with that trust, I feel like we're family forever, instantly. No matter what happens, I can count on them.
Wow, thank you. Any other questions? And again, remember, you have to unmute yourself.
I had a question, but I forgot after Jane asked.
So,
So I'll ask another one. Did you have a most memorable like family or person that you stayed with or that you met along the time?
At this point, I think I've stayed with over 100 people, 150 families. Um, every single one is just so unique. It's so hard to pick out one favorite story, but I would say that one day I stayed with this woman. She had no money at all. She could not work. She did not have any cash, but she not only did she offer me a place to stay, she gave me her bed. And actually, most people do that. Most people would give up their bed and let me sleep in their bed if they didn't have an extra couch or anything. Um, and and they just show the best hospitality. Um, and this woman, not she also offered, hey, if you need anything, we could walk 10 miles to the grocery store and use my food stamp, get whatever you need for your journey. I don't care. Just take care of yourself and we'll come back, walk 10 miles back. But you can take all my food stamp and get things you need for your journey. Even though she had nothing, like she gave everything she had to me. And so we didn't end up going to the grocery store, but it's just the idea that she was willing to give everything she had to me is amazing. And she's not the only person, and hundreds more people did the same thing. And so I'm currently writing a book about all these experiences and just how genuine and kind people could be.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think Anna was gonna try to ask a question.
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh shoot. Okay. So I have 1 minute. Sorry. Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. So I had the speaker going on my phone, but now I turned it off. So I'll have to call back in to hear her reply. Sorry guys. I don't know what's wrong with my computer. But I don't know if I missed that at the beginning, but I was wondering, because you said you didn't have a film crew document it, but that you did it yourself. Like, did you like record videos throughout yourself and upload a video of your whole like experiences, or the book you're writing will be the first time like the world knows about the story? Okay, hold your answer so I can call back in.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that.
It's complicated.
Absolutely.
Welcome to Zoom. Enter your meeting ID. Enter your participant ID. You are in the meeting now.
Are you able to hear me? You can hear me now? Okay, good. So in the beginning, my friend and I, we actually built a camera contraption with PVC pipe, and it is a very unique setup. The PVC pipe extend all the way, like a third arm filming me, like it's filming by a third person. And so this is how I used to film myself the first part of my journey, and I posted my story every day on social media. That's why sometimes people could just reach out to me when they see my hashtag and like, hey, come stay with me. So I did social media every day. Sometimes I did, or actually every day I would do live streaming videos, so that people could feel like they could live my adventure vicariously and actually in real time too. So I would live stream. And sometimes when I was going through a storm, I pulled out my phone and just asked people and talk to them and show them what's happening. All the trees are falling, and what do I do now? And so I included people in my journey. I never felt alone. I feel like, people online are following my journey. People along the way that I met, they are very supportive. So even though I was alone, I was never lonely. But yeah, I post every day, and sometimes I would be on local news and TV station or talk shows. Um, so that's fun too. That's part of the journey as well. Yeah.
I'm sure Anna says thank you, but it's complicated for her
Yeah.
to try to communicate right now.
Absolutely.
All right. Any other questions? Jermaine, do you have a question or?
No, but since you were in LA, I was thinking you should be introduced to the Yes Theory guys. Let me try to find your contact.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, they live in
Absolutely.
Venice, so I ran into them a few times, and I was just reading up about you at the Chicago Tribune, and it sounds like you guys can definitely collaborate on something.
Yeah, I would love that for sure.
Jermaine loves to connect people with each other. His main
That's
thing.
awesome. Yeah, that would be helpful. Yeah, I still want to spread the word, and yeah, even though the Belager scholarship is over now, and I mean the story's still there, I still want to show the world they're good.
Very cool.
So do you have a next project lined up yet, or are you still you said you're writing a
So
book, I think?
yeah, so that would be another adventure. I think writing a book is much harder than rollerblading across the country. But yeah, that would be my next adventure. And I also have other creative projects coming up. I'm still drafting in and making it happen. Like I said, the beginning is always the hardest, and I'm stumbling and just stumbling upon a lot of obstacles. So, but it will happen. Just like how it happened, the rollerblading journey happened, and I'll make that second project happen too.
Great. All right. Well, if there's no more questions, I will end the official part of our meeting. So I'll stop the recording. But we can hang out and chat if anyone wants to. So I'll stop our recording, and our meeting is officially adjourned.